Well, hello friends. Welcome back to the program. Today we are going to work on CSS layout a little bit. So we are going to make padding for inline elements. And actually what that means, let me show you in HTML first of all. So we'll make a little test. Padding inline HTML. And how about we make a simple style sheet here that has a span style where we say padding is, I don't know, 20 pixels maybe? Padding left 20 pixels and padding right 40 pixels. And then why don't we give these some background color actually to illustrate where they are. So maybe red and color white. And then let's make some spans. So hello friends. This span has padding. Something like that. So let's take a look at what that would look like in Firefox. All right, so you can see here that despite these elements not being block level, rather inline, they still have padding on the left and right side. And I think if we add padding above and below, it shouldn't actually affect the layout, although it will be painted. So let's see, maybe we'll try that. Yeah, so it's actually stays in the same place when you add vertical padding, but horizontal padding actually modifies the layout of the page. So today we're primarily concerned with horizontal padding because that means we actually have to put the text boxes in different locations. So I think the first thing we're going to do here is just take a look at how this would render in our browser right now. All right, so as we can see here, we currently do not respect padding on inline elements at all. And if we take a look at the layout tree for this document, we can see that we have an inline containing block for the entire document. And then we have a block box for the HTML element containing a block box for body, then a block box for the div, and then in that div block box we have two lines. So let's turn on line box borders here, and that was not tremendously helpful, I guess probably because of the background color. Wait, why doesn't the box show up? Let's remove that. Remove the colors and try that again. Yes, so we can see here, apparently we draw them borders before we draw the background. That's not very good. But yeah, so you can see here that we have these two text boxes, hello friends, and this span has padding. And when we took a look at the layout tree, we can see here that the div, this div right here, has two line boxes. One with the hello friends text and one with the this span has padding text. And essentially the way that we do line layout in libweb is that inline elements such as span and also inline DOM nodes like text nodes, they all contribute one or more line box fragments to their containing block. So when we are sort of doing layout of this tree, we recurse here and we find all of these inline nodes. Inline nodes are yellow color, so and block nodes are blue color. That's how you can recognize them in the layout tree dump. So all of these yellow inline level nodes here are contributing line box fragments to this blue containing block box. And currently, what happens here is that the layout goes in here recursively and discovers here's a text node. So when we are in the process of creating these line box fragments, the text node will say, oh, I have some text, and it will locate its containing block and then append these line box fragments here. So this comes from this text node down here. And then as we recurse further, we find this text node down here, which contributes a second line box. So it's actually one line with two boxes on it. I feel like I said two lines at some point, but it's just one line with two boxes because they both fit on one line. Of course, if you reduce the amount of space available, then we're forced to break it into two lines. So if we dump the layout tree once again, then we can see now that there are two line boxes. With the first one has fragments from two separate text nodes, and then the last one has fragments from a single text node. So anyways, that's important to know, right? That the line boxes, they change depending on how much space is available. So that's something that every time that the available size changes, for example, when you resize or when something changes on the page, then we have to recompute all of this stuff. Anyway, so the problem we have today is that these text nodes, they only contribute the text to the containing blocks line boxes, and we really want this span here to contribute some padding, right? Because I think currently we don't do anything when you try to split a span into lines. So what happens is, let's see, this would be in the inline formatting context. So when we run the inline formatting context, essentially the first thing we do is first we grab the containing block, because the inline formatting context runs within a block, and then we throw away the line boxes from that containing block, because we have to start over and make a new set of line boxes. And then we iterate through all of the children of this containing block, and we ask them to split themselves into lines. And this is the process that will produce these line boxes. So I think the default implementation of split into lines is in layout node, which will call split into lines on all of its children. So the default behavior here is to just recurse, which is how we end up in all of these subnodes. But I think now these spans here, they are inline nodes. We can see the name of the class here, it's inline node. And inline node is just a generic layout node for any inline element. So it's very, very simple. It doesn't do anything in particular. It just exists, and its only special quality is that it marks itself as an inline node, which means that it behaves. It's an inline level element, right? Like it cannot be laid out in a block context, so it needs to be in an inline context, which then affects how the parent of this inline node will lay it out. Anyway, I think what we want to do here is we want to override split into lines. And for these inline nodes, if they have padding, then we want to add a little bit of a little fragment to the start if there is left padding, and to the end if there is right padding. So let me see how that would work. Split into lines. Maybe it should be called split into line fragments or something. I don't know. Split into lines has been the name forever. And we get the containing block and the current layout mode. And then we just need to, let's see. I think we definitely want to preserve the recursive behavior, so we'll just call up to our base class after we are done, maybe. But before we call the base class, let's see if we have some padding. So we can see here, for example, that this inline node has all of these padding properties applied to it. So we need to react to them. And how do we do that? We'll say if my style padding left is, if it's neither undefined nor auto, then padding left, let's say, is style padding left resolved. So we have to resolve it in case it's a percentage value, but I think we'll just resolve. I'm not sure how to resolve percentage padding actually in an inline context. I'm assuming that it refers to a percentage of the containing block. So I'm just gonna wing it and assume. And maybe we'll have to come back to that at some point, but and then let's see, so when we resolve, so the reason we have to call resolve is because this resolves relative units like percentages. And reference for percent, right? So containing block width. And then we apparently need to include block box. Okay, so here we need 2 pixels for this layout node. And now we have it, the padding left in pixels. So then we can just say containing block, ensure last line box, which means that it gives us a reference to the last line box, and if there is no last line box, it creates a line box. And then we'll add a fragment for this layout node. I guess we can go from 0 to 0, doesn't really matter. And the width should be padding left, and the height, just gonna ignore the height. I think the height of boxes will eventually, it doesn't really matter in the end, because all that it does is that if you have a box on a line that's particularly tall, then the line may have to accommodate that somehow. But if you have a fragment here that's only contributing width, right, then it's probably fine to not care about the height, because we don't need to stretch this the line in any way vertically. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. I'm just assuming. So we'll see. So we added a fragment for the left padding. So let's do the same for right. But the right padding, actually, we should add after we recurse through the children so that it ends up on the tail end. So padding right. Okay. I'm feeling highly optimistic. So let's see if this works. Okay, so at least we got them padded out, although it doesn't look right, but it does, the layout looks better, right? So let's see those line box borders. We can't see them. Oh, right, because of the stupid color thing. Okay, let's just dump the layout tree. Okay, so as we can see here now, we still have one line, but we have a lot of fragments on this line. So now we have this preceding fragment here, contributed by an inline node, start and length at 0, just as we specified, right here. And we also have a tail, or actually here is one, and then here is the padding right, and here is padding left for the next inline, and padding right for that one. So this actually looks really cool. Now the problem is just that we are not painting the background correctly. And how do we do that? I guess in order to do that, we would need them to have some height. So how do we learn the height of these things? I guess the height just has to be the height of the text inside. Because we'll want to paint them. So I think the way that painting works in the layout tree right now is that we really only paint these blue boxes, and then the line boxes inside of a block are painted by that block. So all the logic for that is in here in blockbox. So blockbox will, if it has inline children, it will iterate through all the line boxes and iterate through all of the fragments and then paint, call fragment paint on them. So fragment paint calls, if it is a text node, we'll call paint fragment. So I think here we should probably know how to paint other things as well. So let's see, maybe paint fragment should be just a concept that anything could do. Wait, how should that work? Fragment paint. Because now we'll want to, right now we're just skipping over these guys when we're painting the fragments. So we'll only paint the text node fragments, which means that these inline nodes with the padding, they don't get a chance to paint. Even though they're 0 pixels tall, they never get a chance. So let's see here if we can say, wait, if is inline node of some type, layout node, then downcast to inline node, paint fragment, let's say context to this. Yeah, so we'll give him a paint fragment function as well, just like text node has. And then I don't know if that should be virtual. I'm a little bit unsure, so we'll do it this way for now. And inline node, paint fragment. Okay. So what the heck do we want to paint here? I guess we'll look at what box does. So box, normally like border and background filling and stuff like that is done by the box layout node, but inline nodes are not boxes, right? They don't actually occupy they don't necessarily occupy a single box in the layout tree, because the problem is that an inline node can be broken into multiple parts. So it's not as simple as just making it a box, because they may have multiple boxes. So an inline node, when we paint it, or rather, the way that we paint all of these things is that for each of these fragments, we call paint fragment on something. So now we'll call paint fragment on inline node, and we'll call it on text node. And then we get the fragment. So the fragment is going to have a rect. So we should be able to just paint into that rect. Although the thing I wanted from here was, how do we know the background color? So we need to look at the paint phase. Wait, do we even know the paint phase? I think we don't know the paint phase here. We need to, we're missing some crucial information here. Yeah, so I haven't really worked on like proper painting of like the background underneath text and stuff like that. So basically, when you paint a web page, you have to paint in different phases because it's defined by CSS that like it's all these steps to painting. So first you paint like the backgrounds, and then you paint this and that. And I have a list of them somewhere. Paint phase here. So this is the order that we currently paint. First backgrounds, then borders, then foregrounds, then focus outlines, and then we have our own proprietary overlay, which is supposed to be stuff like the line box borders and stuff like that, but it's not quite fully working right. Anyway, so we need to pass along the current paint phase to fragment painting so that we know that we're painting only the relevant parts right now. So line box fragment should really, why is he not being told the current phase? Yeah, so we should really tell him what the phase is. Paint phase, and is that a member of layout node? Wait, where is paint phase? It is in layout node. Okay, so we'll just move that out to the layout namespace, I think would be better. And then we will put it in the forwarding header here, so okay. Good. And then who calls this? Yeah, just plumbing things along. And take the paint phase, please. Okay, so now we can actually do some stuff here, like if the phase is paint phase background, then paint the background. Right. Oh yeah. So here we're doing the background for text node fragments. So we could really do the same for our inline node. I guess we could do more here to respect the various phases. So I think we'll say if paint phase is foreground, then we would do all of the rest. Yeah. And then we'll move the font into here, and it's pretty good. An inline node. Let's see. Okay, so painter is context painter. So for the background phase, we will fetch out the background color property. Yeah, so this could be done better in the future, but right now we're doing CSS property lookup. It's not the end of the world, but at some point we should probably cache that result instead of doing a lookup every time we paint. And we needed libGUI or libgraphics painter. Okay. And then, let's see, paint fragment. And who was calling this? Fragment paint was blockbox. So currently, blockbox only iterates the fragments in the foreground phase. But I think it would be better here to always paint them and just pass along the phase. So actually this thing will kind of disappear now because we're dealing with it. And we have a separate iteration here for the focus outline phase. It's a little bit weird. I guess we could move this logic into this guy somehow. But makes me move this logic or merge this loop with the above somehow. Yeah, because I don't want to think about focus outline logic right now. Stacking context. We moved that enum up to the namespace. Guess that affects the CPP file as well, yes. Linebox fragment has an error on line something, 45. Is inline node. Oh. We don't have the type traits macro. Ooh, that's deceptive. We need to know if this is an inline node, not if this is, because inline is a state that technically any layout box, any layout node could be inline, whereas inline node is a specific subclass of these things. So maybe that's an argument for virtualizing paint fragment rather than having it be non-virtual on inline node and text node, but we'll return to that at some point. We don't have to overthink that right now. So that should be fine, and then we just have to override that here. So okay. Yeah, this would feel better if this were a virtual thing. Now that I look at it. Because then we wouldn't need these checks here. We could just blindly call paint fragment and no cast or check would be necessary. All right. So I'm guessing that if everything worked, we still won't see anything exciting here because our fragment rect is empty. So let's see. Let's log something. Painting background of an inline node with fragment rect. This fragment absolute rect. Yeah, so I think that rect is going to be having a 0 height, and that's the problem now. Yeah. Okay, so we're painting the background, but you can see here it's x8, y20, width 20, height 0. So what is the straightforward way of solving this? I guess one thing we could do is we could normalize the height of these boxes so that they are the same height as the rest of the line. That would be one option. Or like make them the height of the tallest box on the line. Actually, maybe that's the thing to do. And I feel like maybe we should mark these fragments somehow as like this is a sort of a leading or leading or a trailing padding fragment. I don't know exactly what to call them, but let's see, fragment type, normal, let's say, and then let's have a couple of different types here. So normal, and then we'll have leading and trailing. And then we can use the leading and trailing ones for white space. And then I think the leading and trailing will become useful later when we want to do borders as well, because inlines have this very interesting border system that, let me show you what I mean. If we turn on borders on these things, then if you have to break, then you can see here that the border doesn't show up on the right side here, rather it ends up on the next line. So we actually need to keep track of which fragment is the leading one and which one is the trailing one. Also, I don't know if leading and trailing are the best words, they're just the ones that come to mind right now, so just rolling with it. Anyway, fragment type, fragment type. Okay, and add fragment. Let's see. Make line box fragment. Oh, maybe this enum should have been in here instead, actually. Makes a bit more sense. So that would be instead type. Oh yeah, because this is a line box, so the line box shouldn't have a fragment type. What am I even doing? Yes. This clearly belongs on the fragment class, not the line box class. Alright. That was silly. Okay, so we'll just call it type. Type. And m type is type. All right. Type, const turn type. Okay, so far so good. And we messed something up in line box fragment because I put a semicolon in the wrong place. Oops. Okay. All right, good. Now, in the inline formatting context, when we're actually laying all of these out on a line here, let's see, where do we set the height of things? So this is how we set the containing block height, sure. Blah, 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 blah. So let's see. In line layout, we iterate all of the line boxes, and then we compute the max height by iterating all of the fragments on this line box, and then getting the max height from, so we just find the tallest box on the line, tallest fragment on the line, I should say. And then we use that to vertically align everyone's bottom to the line. Or in other words, to tell everyone to sit on their ass properly. Sure. That's the only thing the max height is for. Oh, and the max height is also appended to the content height, so that's how we determine how much vertical space in total is used by all the lines in the end. So I think what we can do here is, when we are visiting these fragments, we can say if fragment type is box fragment type leading or trailing. This is a little bit goofy, but I feel like maybe this is gonna be okay. So set, we only have set width. What if I want to set the height? Set width. I'm adding a set height and you cannot stop me. Height. Okay, so when we lay out the leading and trailing fragment, we will set their height to the max height. Okay. Now they become as tall as the tallest fragment on that line. Yes, I have repeated myself many times now, but I'm just thinking out loud. And that didn't quite work out. Okay, why not? I guess we should see, we should verify that we actually made these kind of boxes. I think maybe we didn't actually inline node. Yes, I forgot to actually create these. Linebox fragment type leading and trailing. And look at that. Okay, so progress. Now these end up looking a little goofy because these boxes are not as tall. On the plus side, the line box borders show up now because we respect the face order. Okay, interesting. So I guess these grow because somebody on the line is taller than these guys. But who is taller? Let's take a look. So the leading node here is 14 pixels tall. And then we have text nodes 10 pixels tall, and then we have trailing and leading, another 14, text node 10, and then the trailing 14. So actually, why the heck is max height? Why is the max height 14? Are we padding the max height somehow? Did I miss that? The min line height. Oh, okay, so the max height starts out with the min line height, which is the line height, computed line height property from the containing block. Oh, I see. So it's almost like it's a bug that we are not adjusting the text boxes to have the minimum line height, have at least the minimum line height, right? Maybe we should do that while we're here as well. So let's see, else fragment set height, max of min line height and fragment height. So if the min line height is taller than the fragment height, then we will grow the fragment to compensate. That's probably not the best way to do that, but it gives us sort of the desired effect. Of course, now the text ends up with a bunch of space underneath it. Let's see how this looks on some other page here. Yeah, so now all of our text has space underneath it, which makes these underlines look goofy. It's not perfect. So probably we have to think a bit harder about how to do this. Or maybe the issue is just that we need to paint differently now. Where do we paint these fragments anyway? Paint. And we're drawing the text for one of these boys. Then we draw with text alignment top left. Another option would be drawing the text center left, but I feel like that's a little bit weird. Because it makes this look correct. It looks pretty good here too. It actually makes everything look really good. So maybe that's the path forward. So yeah, so the line height becomes adjusted to accommodate for the CSS specified line height, and then we vertically center the actual text pixels within that now kind of padded line. That's not bad actually. It looks kind of nice. Let's visit Google if we can. There are issues on Google for sure. But some things here have improved. There are definitely things that we need to solve, but this is looking downright nice. And yeah, okay, so I put a border on it, and we're not showing the border here. And why is there space in between? We're not respecting, it's that white space node right here between the spans. I think currently we're just collapsing this white space, so we don't even create a fragment for it, because we are like very eagerly pruning white space, which unfortunately is not correct. We're not allowed to prune white space, so we're going to have to start respecting white space. The reason I started pruning white space was just to make the layout tree less cluttered while working on it, because it makes it a bit harder if you have to see all these white space nodes everywhere. But it doesn't give you the right results, so we're going to have to stop pruning all the white space. Yeah, so we need space, and then we need to do the paint the vertical padding, and we need to paint the borders, but layout wise we have definitely improved, because now the rest is painting, I guess. Well, the borders take up physical space, now that I think about it, because if we edit that rule, can we edit the rule here? Let's see, if we edit this border rule to say 10, yeah, you can see that like it changes the physical layout of the page, so we do need to accommodate for that. But we'll do that some other time. Today we have made progress, so let's do some commits. Maybe we'll start with just making that inline node typecast helper. Cannot split this hunk. Well, why you gotta be that way? Let's just do that then. Yes. Yes, and then layout node, stage, libweb, add typecasting helpers for layout inline. Okay, and then we can move the paint face thingy out of layout node and to the top level of the namespace. Let's see if we can get that changed, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Libweb. Add paint phase to out of layout node. Paint phase enum. Now it's just layout paint face instead of layout node paint face. Okay. And then I guess we can do the part where we call fragment paint for every phase instead of just for the foreground phase, which was the previous behavior. So yes, not you, not you, not you, not even you, not you, not you, not you, but you. Parts of you, at least. Not you. Yes, you. Not you, but you. All right. Man, I love git add-p. To all the people who told me about git add-p, thank you so much. It has definitely improved my workflow in the, I don't know how long ago it was. It feels like maybe a year ago, and now it's just part of my daily routine. So I'm really grateful to everybody who kept telling me to use it. It's something I love about having this YouTube channel, that I get these awesome tips from left and right, things I never would have found otherwise, or things that would have taken me time to find. It's really one of the great things about having somebody see you work every now and then, is that they can give these little tips. Definitely awesome. Okay, so not you, nor you, and see, that one, actually we did need that one. I messed that up. Okay. Web, layout, text node. Okay, and then this is the remaining div. So that's nothing from the text node here. Right, so. Call do line box fragment or paint line box fragments during all paint phases. Fragment painting was very limited by only being called during the foreground paint phase. This patch changes things, so, or no, we now paint fragments, paint fragments as part of every phase, and the phase is passed to paint fragment. Of course. That's cool. Yeah, and we'll have that fix me there about merging up the focus outline fragment painting. What was that even about? Focus outline, focus outline. Draw. What are we doing there? If we have a focused thing, oh, I guess that's from buttons. So if you have a button like the search buttons on google.com, or no, like even here, like, yeah, actually, when you, let's go to this page. So this is the focus outline that I'm tabbing. Yeah, that's what it is. Right, that's what we're painting here. So this should be done in this loop somehow, but let's ignore that for now. Okay, and then should we the rest is really one big change, I guess. Or no, wait, we needed that one. That one belonged to the previous. I almost missed something. Not you. Here we go. Not you, not you, but you. And we just amend to the previous commit, right? Okay, and then with web, create thing and trailing line box fragments for inline elements. So in order for inline elements, e.g. span, to contribute white space, or let's not call it white space since that's kind of a very overloaded term here, because it could mean like space characters. So to contribute padding, margin, padding, etc. Let's say, because this is more stuff. To line boxes, we now create special leading and trailing fragments for inline nodes. I'm not sure this is done at the right level, but we're gonna do it there for now. We may have to come back to this and hoist that out to a different level, because I think maybe the way that line splitting is implemented is not the best. Like the fact that it's done by each layout node itself rather than by some like mother object that visits everybody and figures out how to split them. I don't know. I think maybe we'll want to have a splitter outside, but right now layout inline node seems like maybe the best place to do that. At least that's how it works currently, so we'll stick with that abstraction right now, but it's something I would maybe like to change. And size them according to the padding. Left, right, padding. Or the horizontal padding, there's not enough space. Padding values. We also to make things look proper, we also now the height of these fragments is taken from the max height of the line, the tallest fragment on the line. I'm starting to wonder maybe if all fragments on a line should just be normalized to the same height so that we stop having like per fragment height, but that's another thing for now. I'll make a note of that. This is making me wonder if, let's say, perhaps we should stop having per fragment heights and just keep single height per line box, but that's a separate issue. In order to make things look nice, we now also adjust the height of all fragments on a line so that nobody is shorter than the minimum line height. Let's say, yeah, the min line height. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we're not quite at this result yet. Also, let's add this little test page here to the. It's been a while since we added test pages, so let's add it. MISC. Dun 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 dun. Padding inline. Inline elements with padding. It is fun to work on this layout stuff again. It's been too long. I definitely I'm having a good time. That's very cool. Yeah, and of course, let's do that devirtualization thing I talked about. Before I forget, so what was that? Paint fragment, right? So here, instead of doing this, we'll just do dun 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 dun. Paint fragment. Paint fragment, as the fake French would say. So virtual override, and we'll do the same in text node. You also get to be a virtual override, and we'll just put that in layout node. Paint. And we'll just make it empty by default so that normally nothing is painted. Wait, what? Does not override? Wait, why? Clearly overrides something, doesn't it? Line box fragment. It's in the wrong namespace. Wait, what? Do we have a forward declaration mishap happening here? Let's see. Layout node. How did we mess this up? linebox fragment is accidentally in the web namespace according to the forward declaration. Well, that is definitely a mistake, so we'll fix that. Put that in there, sort everybody, and boom. We get 2 patches out of this. Tab, move line box and fragment, or fix wrong forward declaration of line box and line box fragment. And there we are, everything works with our new virtual mechanism. Very, very good. So, paint fragment is now virtual. This change here should probably have been in one of the earlier ones, but whatever. That's fine. Yes, yes, yes. That's pretty good. So, virtualize layout node paint fragment. Instead of this actually means that we don't need the inline node.h in linebox fragment at all. I think text node. We don't need. We do need text node, yeah, but we didn't need inline node. I think. So let's actually. Yeah, okay, that makes the patch even better. Okay, so line box fragment no longer needs to care what type of node what type of layout node a fragment refers to during paint. It can just call paint fragment. That's nice. That is very nice. Okay, and then let's finally add our little test case. Add a little web test page for inline elements with CSS padding. Cool. Okay, it's a bunch of commits. Very nice and tidy. So I think we are at the end of today's video. So if you made it this far, then I thank you very much for watching, for hanging out. I hope that you saw something interesting today. I certainly enjoy working on CSS layout again, and it's good to improve the engine here. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do, but steps like this is how we do that work. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.